In the videos released on the Dinosaur Age channel, we never cease to be amazed by the diversity of living organisms that inhabited our planet at different times. In the next episode of the series about animals with unique abilities and features of appearance, we'll talk about those of them that appeared after the dinosaurs. We'll also talk about modern animals whose descendants survived the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction and successfully exist to this day. Of course, as always, only a small number of them fit into the timing of our release. But if the viewers like this format, then we'll continue to talk about animals with superpowers in the future. By subscribing to our channel, you'll be the first to know about the release of new episodes, and you'll be able to leave your comments under the videos first. You guys can also express your support by leaving a like. These actions will really help promote our videos across the channel, and this way we can plan our future videos on what you all want to see. Docurus, an armored knight of the Pleistocene period. At one time, Stegosaurus and Ankylosaurus came up with a special protection from predators. Apparently, the presence of strong dorsal armor and a club on the tail was a fairly effective way to fight toothy monsters. Mammals that captured the planet after the extinction of dinosaurs also decided to use similar methods. One of the brightest representatives of such armored herbivores was Docurus, or Docurus. It was a huge armadillo weighing up to 1.5 tons and reaching 4 meters in length. These giants lived mainly in South and Central America. The last representatives of this family met the first people who settled in their habitats about 10 to 11,000 years ago. Their bodies were covered with impenetrable armor on top, and at the end of the tail, there was a spiked club. It's more reminiscent of a medieval poleaxe, but the scientists who discovered the creature gave it a name meaning tail pistol, referring to its resemblance to the corresponding part of a flower. Ambocetus, a walking whale that heard without ears. This animal, which lived in the Middle East between 41 and 47 million years ago, is considered to be a transitional form from land creatures to modern cetaceans. Outwardly, Ambocetus resembled a bizarre cross between a dolphin and a crocodile. Their bodies were covered with fur, and there were membranes between the fingers. They reached 3 meters in length and weighed about 300 kilograms. They were predatory animals that attacked their prey by jumping out of the water, like modern crocodiles do. Ambocetus lived both near rivers and on the seacoast. It's believed that they swam by bending their bodies in a vertical plane, like modern whales. On land, these animals moved quite awkwardly. Scientists also suggest that they moved from the seas to rivers to give birth and raise offspring. One of the most unique features of Ambocetus was the structure of their hearing apparatus. They no longer had auricles, therefore they could not perceive air vibrations caused by sound waves. It's believed that vibrations of the environment were transmitted through the bones of the skull. Phylocosmus, a saber-toothed tiger that was dying of hunger. Despite their saber-toothiness, these inhabitants of South America from the late Miocene and early Pliocene were not cats, but marsupials. At the same time, Phylocosmus had many features of saber-toothed cats. They were up to 140 centimeters long, excluding the tail, and up to 60 centimeters tall. According to various estimates, they weighed from 55 to 110 kilograms. In these parameters, they could be compared with modern inhabitants of this area, jaguars. Phylocosmus had a long and powerful neck, but at the same time, it's believed that they were quite slow animals. Their low speed didn't allow them to effectively hunt ungulates. Their prey, most likely, was also slow, and therefore well protected. It was for hunting such animals that long saber-shaped fangs were needed. Moreover, the roots of the Phylocosmus fangs were much longer than the roots of the Smilodon fangs. Such a structure of the dental apparatus left very little room for the brain. In this respect, saber-toothed cats were clearly ahead of their marsupial imitator. The remaining teeth of the Phylocosmus were very poorly developed and didn't have the ability to recover. Over time, they wore out almost completely. Some researchers suggest that this was the reason for their short lifespan. Adult animals could not normally cut up their prey and simply died of hunger. At the moment, the animals described above are extinct, but even now, a huge number of creatures with unique skills live on our planet. We'd need to have a much longer video to include more detailed descriptions of their abilities. Therefore, we'll try to briefly talk about as many of them as possible. Number 1. The Toadlike lizard, which lives on both American continents, squirts a stream of its own blood at its enemy when in danger. Its blood contains a dangerous toxin. The lizard gets it from the ants it feeds on. It's believed that it can use up to a third of its blood reserves as a weapon without any significant danger to its health. But the most amazing thing is that a stream of caustic blood shoots out of the animal's eyes at the enemy. Number 2. Small jellyfish, Teratopsis nutricula, which have spread from the Caribbean Sea to almost the entire planet, are technically immortal. Having received an injury, having found themselves in unfavorable conditions, or simply having reached maturity, these creatures, no more than 5 millimeters in size, attach themselves to the bottom or other surfaces and turn into a polyp. During this state, the cells of its body are renewed. After this, the revived immortal jellyfish can again exist in its original form. Moreover, it can reproduce in both states. In the form of a jellyfish, it reproduces sexually, and in the form of a polyp, by budding. Number 3. Modern centipedes are much smaller than the Arthropleura from the Carboniferous period. Therefore, many of them are poisonous. Toxins are necessary for centipedes to protect themselves from predators. Some species of centipedes are capable of secreting poisons from the cyanide group. For example, the dragon centipede from Southeast Asia not only accumulates poison in large doses, but also smells like almonds. This smell is typical for this type of toxin. And the polychrome aphiloria, recently discovered in the wooded mountains of Virginia, USA, can even spray poison around itself. It's believed that the poison in the body of one centipede is enough to kill 18 birds the size of a pigeon. Like many poisonous creatures, these centipedes are very brightly colored, and some of their non-poisonous relatives diligently copy their coloring for self-defense. Number 4. The common ornamented snake lives in the jungles of Southeast Asia. If the word ornamented can still characterize this animal, then the concept of ordinary doesn't apply to it at all. The fact is that this snake, unlike most of its relatives, can fly. Scientific research has shown that it's able to glide without much difficulty from a height of more than 40 meters. For reference, that's roughly a 12-story building. To fly, it's learned to straighten its ribs and use them as a kind of wing. Number 5. Bedbugs have a rather strange but effective way of reproduction. To fertilize a female, the males of these small parasites don't necessarily have to get their genitals into a specific place. They poke them almost anywhere and simply drill into the female's body, injecting their semen directly into the blood. At the same time, a female fertilized in this way doesn't necessarily lay eggs right away. They're able to choose the most favorable time to become pregnant, and in the future, she won't need to resort to the services of a male again for this. Also, the female's body may contain genetic material from different males. And even if a male gets his genitals into the body of another male during fertilization, the latter automatically changes his sex and continues life as a female. Number 6. The hairy frog lives in some areas of Central Africa, but it's notable not only for the thinnest, leathery growths on the side of its body resembling hairs. It's believed that frogs need this tool for breathing. With their help, they retain air bubbles in the water. The real superpower of the hairy frog, which even some comic book heroes would envy, is the way it protects itself from enemies. When in danger, the bones of the frog's hind legs break and cut through the skin. Such sharp claws can simply scare a predator without resorting to a fight. Having avoided danger, the frog retracts its claws and quickly grows them stronger, and also heals the skin. This is very similar to the ability of one superhero from the Marvel Universe. Number 7. A small shrimp called the pistol shrimp has an average length of about 5 centimeters. At the same time, one of its claws is much larger than the other and can exceed the size of its own body. This claw closes so quickly that it forms an air bubble heated to more than 4,000 degrees Celsius and flying at a speed of about 100 kilometers per hour. When bursting, such bubbles make a very loud sound that can deafen and even kill small fish that this crustacean hunts. Under certain conditions, the pistol shrimp can cause serious injury even to a person. But for this, a person must be in the water a few centimeters away from it. Fortunately, such cases haven't been registered at the moment. However, there are unconfirmed stories about minor bleeding from the finger caused by an attack of this small arthropod. We thank everyone who watched this episode all the way to the end. If you want to learn more about unique animals from different eras, we advise you to pay attention to the previous videos posted on our channel. They also tell about the evolution of life on the planet, the emergence and development of people, their relationships with the surrounding world, and the internal problems of human society.